Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. This morning I'm going to introduce bread. Ooh, look at all that bread. Did you know there's over 138 bread around the world? Everybody around the world eats bread. I bet this morning, had an accident. Not as bad as that one. That's been on the floor a few times, that. This is what we normally eat bread, isn't it? We have it for toast. Toast and sandwiches with nice fillings. This is my bread basket this morning. Full of bread from around the world. This is, whoops-a-daisies. Whoops-a-daisies. This bread here is from Germany. This is rye bread. Listen to this. It's really hard, but it's scrummy. I think I've seen some of you in church, little ones, with rye bread. This is good, a bit like a frisbee. You cut that over like that, and you have cream cheese in it and fillings. Put your hands up if you've ever had a bagel. I've had bagels. This one, I think this has got, I don't know. Let me take something out and try what this one is. This has got, it's got olives in. I don't like olives. Oh, I've got a pink one here. A pink one. What do you think makes it pink? Beetroot, I think. That's nice, isn't it? And then we've got this one. Oh, somebody's eaten some of that already. And then we've got, I like this. Oh, that's a bit damaged. I won't give you that one. Focaccia bread. That's nice and flat, focaccia. Focaccia bread. All these are from around the world, these. Who knows what that is? La baguette. Don't know if I said that right. French stick. Cut that like that, and people have cheese and ham on it. Gorgeous. Oh, we've got this one. Oh, got full of seeds. I think them are pumpkin seeds. Not sure. Let me know about this one. This is a sourdough. And that's a bread for my tea tonight, that. And what else have we got in here? We've got lots of different things in here. Oh, we've got breadsticks. Got me telly. Got an Italian lady on there. And then we've got big fat juicy baps, soft baps. So bread. Interesting. You think it was just like that when you go in a shop. You need to, next time you go to supermarket, have a look at all the bread. The Bible talks about bread. He says we can't just live on bread alone. Jesus tells us that in the Bible. You have to ask your mummy and daddies and grandparents and people about that. They'll tell you that story. Now this morning, you're going to hear about the story. You're going to hear about what Jesus says, because Jesus said, I am the bread of life. It's not this kind of boring bread. Jesus is about this amazing, awesome bread. He's like this. Colourful. He's colourful. He's tasty. He's different. He's awesome. He's like that. So, listen to the story. Listen carefully. Jesus says, I am the bread of life.
The feeding of the 5,000 from Matthew, Mark and Luke. There was once 5,000 tired and hungry and probably very grumpy people sitting on a hillside wanting their dinner. They had come to hear Jesus that day. They came before breakfast, stayed all morning, all afternoon, and way past dinner. No one had meant to be out that long, but that's what happened when it came to listening to Jesus, as if time didn't exist. People could listen to Jesus for hours and hours on this particular day. That is just what happened. They hadn't brought enough food, and they couldn't just go and buy themselves a burger and fries to go. Of course, because they were in the middle of nowhere with no shops and restaurants. Besides, that kind of thing didn't exist yet. What would they do? Jesus' friends had an idea. Let's send everyone home for dinner. They don't need to go, Jesus said. You can give them something to eat. Did Jesus want them to travel all the way to town and buy food for everyone? Jesus' friends panicked. But we don't have enough money. What food do you have? Jesus asked. Go and see. Now there was a little boy in the crowd. He had brought a lunch and that his mother made for him that morning. He looked at his 5 loaves and 2 fishes. It wasn't much, not nearly enough for 5,000, but it was all he had. I have some, he said. Jesus' friends laughed when they saw how little his lunch was. That's not nearly enough, they said. But they were wrong. Jesus knew it didn't matter how much the little boy had. God would make it enough, more than enough. Jesus said, Bring me what you have. And so the little boy gave Jesus lunch. Jesus winked at the little boy and whispered in his ear, Watch. How in the world will Jesus feed everyone with just that? Jesus' friends said because they thought it was impossible. But Jesus knew the one who made all the fish in the oceans. Jesus knew the one who in the very beginning had made everything out of nothing at all. How hard would something like that be for someone like that? Jesus took the little boy's lunch, looked up to heaven and thanked his Father. Then Jesus gave the little lunch back to his friends. As Jesus' friends started to hand out the food, do you know what happened? It was the strangest thing. No matter how much they broke off, there was always more and more and more. Enough for 5,000. Everyone ate as much as they wanted. 2nd helpings, 3rd helpings, even 4ths. Until they were full. And still there were leftovers. Well, Jesus did many miracles like this. Things people thought couldn't happen, that weren't natural. But it was the most natural thing in the world. It was what God had been doing from the beginning. Of course, taking nothing and making it everything. Taking the emptiness and filling it up. Taking the darkness and making it light.
Such a lot when you've got not a lot. What? Be happy. I'm gonna jump up and down, gonna spin right around, gonna praise your name forever. I'm gonna shout out loud, gonna deafen the crowd, gonna send my praise to heaven. such a lot when you got not a lot? What? Be happy. Such a lot when you got not a lot. What? Be happy.
So what are we going to talk about?
Okay, so today we are talking about Jesus saying, "I am the bread of life," from John 6:35. Okay, and we're going to make some bread clay and then make some little decorations, or you can make a necklace out of it, or do whatever you want. Now, as you'll see, this one didn't come out brilliantly, so I'll talk about different things that might work better, or different ways of doing it. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to get a bowl. Okay, is that there, Ethan?
Yep.
And what are these? Do you know?
Sugar.
Not sugar, it's breadcrumbs. Okay,
Bread.
so we're going to add some breadcrumbs. Let's put lots in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got some glue.
Yeah.
We're going to squeeze lots of glue in there. I don't know exact measurements, you just have to see how it goes. If it's too sticky, just add some more breadcrumbs. If it's too crumbly,
when the girl is cooking.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's too crumbly, add a bit more glue. Just going to add also a bit of washing up liquid, and that, I think it makes it smell a bit nicer, but also I think it helps to stop it going too mouldy and sour. You can add a bit of lemon juice as well, like bread.
Lemon juice? What? What is lemon juice?
The juice from a lemon.
Oh, good.
Okay, so this is the messy bit. Ooh, okay, so that is very sticky, so I'm probably going to add a few more breadcrumbs to that mix.
Bread.
Okay. And it is just trial and error.
So,
I also need to make quite a lot so that Ethan and I have both got something to work with, so I might add a bit more anyway. And a bit more glue.
so you can add some more of this and
Yeah.
that and that.
Just some more bread and glue. I think I've put enough washing up liquid in there. Okay, so once you've mixed that up, it's still quite sticky, but I think it's okay. So I'm just gonna mould that a bit, and then I'm gonna go and wash my hands before I do anything else. Okay, back again. So I've got my ball of dough. I've got a little rolling pin here, but you can use your fingers if you've not got a rolling pin you can use. That's for the go.
Yeah.
Right, it's still quite sticky. I've put it on some greaseproof paper, but you might just want to keep maybe a bit of oil on the rolling pin or something like that. Might help it from sticking too much. Just keep pressing it down.
It's like it's quite a wrong pin.
Quite sticky, that one. Maybe I didn't quite put enough breadcrumbs in. In fact, I think I'm going to add a few more breadcrumbs to this mix because it is still a bit too sticky to roll. This is something I've not really worked with before, so I'm still learning. Right, that's a bit better. So that's not quite as sticky now. That'll probably be a little bit easier to roll.
I need to roll it again.
Yeah. Done. You put both hands on it.
Okay.
Push it down. No. That's it. That's better. Yeah. And then we just do it the other way as well. Oop. Still very sticky. Right. I think I'll just press it down with my fingers. My rolling pin's just a bit sticky already from the last time, so it's not doing quite what I want.
And is all sticky now, so it just stick that down. Get this and that.
Okay, so we've got our dough now, which I'll just make sure I can pick up. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is just use a knife, just an ordinary table knife is fine.
Table knife?
And I'm going to cut 2 small pieces out of this, but they're going to, I'm going to just shape them so they look a bit like a piece of bread. Okay, so
The other bread.
where's the other bread?
Do you want me to go and get it?
No, it's fine. Okay, so you can just shape that like a piece of bread. Whatever you want. We've lost him. Right. Okay. Alright. Okay, so what I've tried to do there is just give it that slightly dome shape on the top, but I'm sure you can do a better job. Right. Now, just a minute. We need to put a hole through the middle so that you can put your ribbon through. Okay. Ethan?
Yeah.
Right, so do you want to help me put the hole through?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will just mind the end of, let me get another one actually. Okay, so I'm just using a cocktail stick for this. Okay, be careful. Poke it through and wiggle it around so it goes all the way through and makes a good hole. So when it dries, you'll still have a hole in it. Okay, just check that goes all the way through. And does. Let's do this one now. Did you get it up? Right. There we go. Okay, so they've both got a hole in. Now, this is where it's still in the experimenting stage, okay? Because to decorate this, first of all, I tried using a cocktail stick to write into it. So I was going to write, I am the bread of life, okay? And it sort of works, but it doesn't show up that well. Then I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll write over it in Sharpie. Okay, so I tried that. And that does work. Alright, so you could do that. If you choose to use the Sharpies on them while the clay is still damp and floppy, then you will need to leave it quite a few days to dry. Make sure it's fully dry, and then put a coating of a clear nail varnish over the top to seal it and to stop the bread rotting. Okay. The problem that I found was I did it too soon. It wasn't my dough, even though I made it a couple of days ago, it's still not quite solid enough. And when I put the coating on this morning of the nail varnish, it actually made the Sharpie run. So I think that probably will work, but you'll just need to wait a few more days until that's properly dry. So I put I Am the Bread of Life on one side and John 6:35 on the other side. I'll just show you one other thing that I try to do, which you might find works, and that is using food colouring. Okay, so what I did here was use a cocktail stick in some food colouring. Now this is a paste food colouring, so it is quite strong, quite thick. I don't know how a normal, more liquid food colouring would work that you'd get in the supermarket, but this is one that you can get from a cake shop, and they're quite intense colours, but they work quite well. Right, problem is it does stain, so you can see it earlier I had a go and I've got blue fingers still. So with this, instead of just writing over the top, which I have tried but it doesn't work, what you need to do is kind of press it into the dough. Okay, so try and use a cocktail stick and get that groove in. I actually found it was a little bit better if I just used the tiniest bit. So I had a bit of a, you can use the lid just so you're not getting too much on, because it's already spreading a little bit where I've done it too much there. But if you just use the tiniest bit and try and spread it out and really poke it into the dough rather than writing on the top of the dough, it does actually work. And again, in a couple of days when this is fully dry, it'll just need a coat of clear nail varnish. Perhaps even PVA might work as a sealant. Say nail varnish just because that's where the link that's attached to this video. The link is at the bottom of this video, and that's where I found this craft. So you can go to that and it's written instructions, but they suggest using nail varnish. Okay, so I've done that with the cocktail stick and food colouring. As you can see, I've used quite enough place for my word bread, and like I say, I started off with a bit too much food colouring on the cocktail, so it spread a bit on that. If you just do a little tiny bit at a time, poke it into the dough, and I think that worked quite well actually. So I managed to make this a couple of days ago, and I put it in the oven for a little bit to dry out on a low heat, and then I managed to cover it in PVA, low PVA glue, and it's worked really well, so I definitely recommend that way of doing it. Remember, any makes you do, please put them on our Facebook page, let us know what you're doing. If you want to use this clay for any other type of make as well, it's a really easy clay to make and just dead child friendly. So just let us know, and we'll see you next week.